Welcome to the story of my life. At least I think it happened this way. Or maybe it was that other thing. Honestly, if I'm going to have a past, I prefer it to be multiple choice. But I digress. Enjoy Nightwing's full walkthrough of Batman Arkham Origins. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, or else. Well, enjoy the show, and remember, I'll be watching.
Hi ho kitties, welcome back to Batman Arkham Origins, and we will finally be doing the Knightfall pack, except not the classic Batman. We're looking at Jean-Paul Valley. And the Knightfall campaign is actually pretty lengthy. You can see I've attempted it before and was able to win 10 medals, so let's see how I do this time around. Alright, so basically the setting for Knightfall is where Jean-Paul is standing in as Batman, which is important to note. He never officially became Batman. He was not Batman 2, he was a stand-in, because Bruce never officially gave him his blessing. Bane's talking about the prison where he came from. Before we dive into Bane's background, I think it's important to kind of talk about Jean-Paul Valley, because there really isn't a lot of information about the character. He is basically just your run-of-the-mill student, I believe in like applied sciences or some type of tech.
Yeah, grad student at computer science in Gotham. And he is unaware that he is the latest in the line of assassin enforcers for the Sacred Order of Saint Dumas, or Dumas.
Yeah, I can never get that right. It's either Dumas or Dumas.
Which is a sinister religious secret society. So he's brainwashed to be evil, but
yeah,
he tries to be good against his brainwashing.
The only reason he finds out about this is his father failed in an assassination against this one guy from another secret society, and ends up getting killed because he was wearing basically a suit of armor, and the guy was shot to death by many bullets. So it's kind of... It's a little interesting that this guy with a flame sword would show up wearing armor and think that he could somehow deflect bullets using a flame sword. Logic. Insane, I guess.
Yeah, so then his father tells him he has to take up the mantle of Azrael, and short while later, or shortly after, he's sent by the Order to kill a weapons dealer, the one who actually turned against the people in the Order and killed his father.
Yeah, which I find funny, because he's always saying that he's the spirit of vengeance and he's going to go after the people that killed his father, yet he already did that in the Azrael Batman issue.
Yeah.
Like that storyline. It already happened.
It's kind of weird. It's the brainwashing working. But that's where he meets Batman, because Batman is also trying to find the guy that killed his dad, and...
Because he killed a girlfriend of Bruce Wayne. Well,
okay.
Bruce Wayne's girlfriend from that time.
Alrighty.
She was,
Yeah, but,
one of many.
Yeah. So, during that time, I believe Bruce Wayne gets captured, and...
Yeah, well, Bruce Wayne gets captured, and what I find funny is the guy who kidnapped him, he actually had his Batman costume underneath, because they were, like, in the mountains of... I don't think they were in Nepal, maybe they were in the Himalayas or something, but he had his Batman costume on underneath, and I remember in the comic he actually gave Alfred his really nice winter coat, and he said, I have my real costume, or something, and then he got jumped because the Troll and Jean-Paul Valley thought it was this rival cult, and it wasn't.
Oh, okay, I see.
And that's why they ended up fighting. Of course, Batman made quick work of that guy.
Yeah, and then,
down for the count.
Jean-Paul, or Jean-Paul, went against the people in the Order and his brainwashing, and he decided to save Batman, and pretty much said he wanted to come to Gotham and fight alongside of him, and hopefully Batman can help him
with
get
his
rid
mind
of
conditioning.
Yeah, because he's been conditioned since he was a child to be this angel of death, which is
which has been going
freaky.
on for generations, since like
Yeah.
the 1400s or
Just-
14 AD or something like that.
Yeah, so just like his dad was. Yeah, so...
But yeah, Jean Paul,
Lost your chance to walk
you can
away.
see his costume here. This is the second costume he had when he fought Bane, which he was actually ordered not to do. Bruce Wayne, after Batman was broken and, a paraplegic, he told, Batman as his stand-in, like, Jean Paul, you cannot fight Bane. You are not, at that level. In fact, Batman and Tim Drake could very easily defeat Jean Paul in combat. He wasn't adequate. Like, he was okay. I mean, he could deal with the run-of-the-mill psychos and mobsters and things like that, but Batman forbade him from, like, fighting people like the Joker and Bane especially, because Bane was the one who defeated him. And the only reason Bane was able to beat Batman is he preyed on Batman's human weakness of Batman just being totally exhausted after 3 months. Like, Batman,
Right.
he was sick. People were surprised that he didn't have a heart attack doing all the stuff he did, because he pushed his body to the absolute limits and fought every single one of his rogues for 3 months until everybody was back in Arkham.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Joker ended up being missing, but, like, yeah, he pretty much stopped everybody. So when Bane showed up in his house and broke the bat, afterwards, when he said, okay, Jean Paul, you can stand in for me, you've been practicing, you've been doing this, Robin says you're ready, you can go after, just for now to show that there's a presence, just go after the regular, thugs and rapists and whatever, and just, like, show the streets that Batman's still around so that I can recover.
Right.
And, he does that for a while, but then the criminal underworld starts talking about this Batman because he does things different, like actually taking the weapons away from the punks who are attacking him and beating them senseless with their own weapons, like to the point of almost death.
yeah.
Azrael Batman, or Jean Paul Batman, beat up so many people. And him and Robin would get into so many arguments and things like that, and Jean Paul just really didn't care. In fact, he had Robin cut his hair on a couple occasions because he wanted to remove all aspect of, the human side of himself and become Batman, become like this agent of justice. And what was happening is he was slowly being turned into Azrael again.
Yeah, without Batman around to help them.
Which Tim didn't know about. So, I mean, Jean Paul, before he really created the As-Bat costume, which we're seeing right now, he was getting hallucinations from his dead father and, of course, Saint Dumas and all the other assassins telling him that he will become the one true Batman and will cause, chaos and vengeance and justice in Gotham, no matter who gets in his way, the innocents, everybody. He doesn't care. He's a agent of, death is what Azrael is. So he, disobeys Batman. He goes after Bane using like these makeshift gloves, which he's actually wearing. Now these gloves have lasers. They have like little bat projectiles they shoot, and he has other weapons that he uses to attack Bane in his penthouse, because Bane is, living it up after defeating Batman. His inner demons are gone. He's getting back to normal a little bit. But Jean Paul shows up and totally just goes nuts, like blasting him with his stuff. Bane already knows he's not the real Batman. He knows it's not Wayne. He calls him on it numerous times, and Jean Paul just retorts, "I am Batman,"
I am Batman.
like really scary, almost like demonic.
Doesn't he have a voice modifier?
He gets a voice modifier later. But they fight, and he actually really injures Bane in his penthouse. He nearly kills his stooges that are in the place, or Bane's friends, because Bane doesn't really have any friends, aside from his teddy bear. So they have this big thing in the penthouse that Batman nearly destroys. And Batman is wounded, and he's cursing his costume because he actually has his leg broken as he's thrown out of the building, and he survives by like diving into like this little pool of water, like a mall fountain, but his leg catches the end of it, and it ends up breaking. That's why you see kind of like this brace on the As-Bat costume in the beginning, but because it's actually a way to support his knee.
Oh, I see.
So what he does is he goes and disappears in the Batcave. He locks out access to Wayne Manor and Drake Mansion, which are connected to the Batcave, and he forges the As-Bat costume. And the costume actually has a lot of interesting uses. Whoa, what? Anybody see the flash of light there?
Yeah, I did.
That was weird. The center of his chest, Jean Paul has this like blinding light that he can voice activate, which came in really handy with his second fight with Bane. Basically, he used a technology to beat Bane senseless, but you can see like all of this is like futuristic armor and things like that. It's a protection from flame, just like his Azrael costume, so he doesn't get burned by the flames. So as soon as he dons this costume, he really starts to see the hallucinations, and his voice changes. He uses a modifier.
Yeah, it's almost like he's partially going back to what he was before.
He's basically becoming possessed and a member of Saint Dumas. And he was Batman from the end of 92 until probably mid-94 is when Batman came back after help from Shiva and the sacrifice of that one lady, helping Bruce regain his ability to walk. But Bane during this time was actually locked away in prison. But what I don't like about the Azrael Batman is he actually did kill pretty much any thug he could. He almost killed Two-Face. He almost killed the Joker because the Joker killed a girl he liked, and you know, he lost it. There was one incident that really made Batman come back, though. It was called, there was some thug or some serial killer, I think it was called the Arbitrator.
Yeah, Abattoir.
Abattoir, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he's got this guy locked up in this building or some type of factory, and he has him hanging over this molten lava. And, you know, he gets the information about something that the villain had, and he walks away, and Tim Drake comes late on the scene, and the guy slips into the, you know, the lava and dies, right? But what Batman or Azbat and Tim Drake and Commissioner Gordon didn't know is the hostages, you know, Batman didn't know the location, so all those hostages that were being tortured and stuff, they ended up dying. And it was this reason alone that Batman began to try to rehabilitate himself and use all his resources to get back into the game, which would take him about a year or two. But that's when he really was like, you know what, I need to stop feeling sorry for myself, and I need to go and come back because this guy's insane.
Yeah, but
it only got worse from there. After that.
But Jean Paul, he could have saved that guy, right? But he just kind of let him die.
He had the Angel of Death take over, basically, and he just had his conditioning, and he let the guy die because the guy was, you know, a murderer, rapist. He did so many bad things, and you know, under the sword of Azrael, that means death. So
exactly.
While he didn't kill him, he didn't save him.
Right.
And Tim
I
Drake.
will kill you, but I don't have to save you.
Tim Drake arrived a little bit too late.
Yeah, it's kind of like you did have to save him because he had hostages. Come on, dude. But yeah, I mean, he stopped working.
Oh, jeez, come on.
Aw.
No, it's okay. I'm trying to dive into back when I don't even know how old I was in '92, but just remembering some of these storylines, it's like I'm kind of glad that Jean Paul isn't around anymore because he was never. I mean,
it's
Dick
like
Grayson. Dick Grayson wasn't even approached to be Batman because just like now in the New 52, where there's kind of this distance between Dick and Bruce. That's what it was like in the 80s and early 90s.
But it's so annoying because even if there's distance, he knows that Dick Grayson would do a terrific job, even if they're not speaking.
Well, one thing I like about the New 52, even though Knightfall happened, Dick Grayson assumed the mantle of the Bat. That was part of his time as Batman. Like, he did it a couple times.
Even if you're mad at someone, if you know them, I mean, it's his son. Come on. Mm-hmm. Like, come on. That's ridiculous.
It's totally ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just like, just because you're not talking to someone doesn't mean he doesn't know that, you know, he's been training Dick Grayson and Tim Drake, you know, since they were young to do, you know, to take up that mantle. That's why I thought it was so odd that, you know, Jean Paul or Jean Paul would be, you know, standing in or taking the mantle. I thought it should be either Dick Grayson or Tim Drake, like one of them.
Well, after the death of Jason Todd, Dick Grayson wouldn't go traveling the universe anymore with the Titans. He actually resigned shortly after Todd's death, and he came back to Gotham.
Yeah.
But during this time, he's kind of in Gotham helping out. Like, he went after characters like Two-Face and Scarecrow and things like that, and Jean Paul, you know, basically Nightwing and Tim Drake during this time teamed up and were their own dynamic duo, Nightwing and Robin, which you could read about in the Robin and Nightwing books, which was really cool. Mm-hmm. Those were the books I was reading because my parents, I remember, they saw Azbat. Like, we had the Knightfall thing, the really cool holographic comic that opened and showed classic Batman and the new 90s edge improved Killer Batman.
Yeah.
And my mom let me read a couple issues of As Batman. The one where Joker like murdered Jean Paul's like girlfriend or date was basically the last straw, and Mom wouldn't let me read this guy anymore.
Aww.
So, you know, some of this is after reading graphic novels of the Knightfall and Night Quest and Night's End series afterwards, because as a child I wasn't allowed to. Oh crap.
Yes.
Stupid pajama wearing ninjas. I hate these guys. And their stupid red armor and just want to.
And I had such big plans for you.
Oh,
I'm
he
sure
had
you
big
did.
plans for you. Maybe like going out for coffee? No.
Yeah. Coffee with cream. I'll have a cream. No sugars. And one of those little cookies. Or you're doomed. But yeah, no. I read a lot of the Robin comics starring Tim Drake because the art style was just really good, and the stories, and you know what was Robin and Nightwing doing the time where Azrael was like flipping out.
Yeah.
That's what it was, and it was really cool. But really the reason I hate Azrael so much is Nightwing was trying to stop him, like when Bruce came back, and because of all his technology, Nightwing was no match for him. In
Yeah.
fact, he nearly killed Dick. They were fighting in a bar, and you know he was shooting him up. He was doing all the same stuff he did to Bane.
It was scary what he did to Bane.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was scared.
Yeah, that was
freaky.
I'm still waiting for them to make an animated movie about Nightfall.
Oh.
I mean, what I love about Bruce Wayne as Batman is, you know, he has some compassion for the person, but the only reason he takes Azrael down is because he hurt Dick. So, you know, he hurt his son, he left him like bruised and beaten on the Pioneer Bridge in Gotham. And, you know, Batman calls him out, they have a fight on the bridge, and Batman realizes, you know, with all his tech and things like that, I could lose to him. So, being the true detective that he is, Batman uses his deductive reasoning about how he can beat Azrael, and it's actually quite simple. It's to get him to remove the armor so that he can talk to Jean Paul. Once the armor is off, then he won't be Azrael, because this guy was living and whatever in his armor. He would hardly ever take off.
It was like the suit was increasing the hallucinations and all.
Oh yeah.
Like once you put the suit on, it's like it made him feel like he was, you know,
Yeah.
Azrael.
So they end up, Batman starts like doing his animated series thing where he appears and disappears and does a haunting voice talking to you from different ways. And the only way Azrael can follow him in the Batcave, because they've just had this massive fight where Commissioner Gordon and half of Gotham witnessed these two guys duking it out on the bridge. Like, who's the real Batman? You know, the one in the darker costume or this one that's been Batman for a while?
Yeah.
And, you know, Batman kind of beats him and has him flee to the Batcave, and then he starts, like, freaking him out in the Batcave. But in order for Jean Paul to follow Batman into different parts of the cave, he has to remove certain aspects of his costume. Because he can't fit through the holes, and he can't, you know.
Oh my gosh.
By the end of the battle, Batman has Jean Paul, like, in nothing but, like, his t-shirt, and, like, he's got, like, his bottom half on, but all his armor and his weapons are gone. And, you know, then he gets him to remove his mask, and underneath...
I was wondering how he got him to remove it, 'cause they didn't...
Yeah. And I still remember this iconic moment. Like, he's standing in the light, and he sees Batman standing there, like, because Jean Paul's, like, freaking out. He's like, where are you? Where are you? Show yourself. I'm Batman. And the light from the cave comes down, and the shadow of Batman, Bruce Wayne, is, like, overcasting Jean Paul as he's kneeling on the ground. And he's like, no, you're the one true Batman. And it just ends with, like, you know, him leaving the cave. It's amazing.
Yeah. Did he expect it to be Bruce Wayne? Or did he think it was Nightwing?
I don't even think that he was really paying
He
attention.
didn't even know that anything was real. He was like in crazy land.
Yeah, crazy land, totally. No,
Yeah.
no.
But, and yeah, he does apologize
Crap.
and leave.
No knives for you. Sorry, I just
No,
need
no
a sec.
problem.
There's the Bane thugs are scary. There we go.
Yes, how dare you do gameplay in the middle of this gameplay video.
Well, I mean, challenge maps aren't... Well, yeah, actually,
Yeah.
this map is pretty challenging. I've never been able to get all the medals. Oh. But I really do like the electric gloves, but when they work.
You're a new feature. Oh wait, no.
But no, I don't really remember much of Jean Paul.
Well,
I know that he ended up becoming homeless, like, and you know, Batman kind of felt bad for his mental instability and the fact that he's still being possessed and things like that. because he wasn't there for him in his time of need. But, you know, at the same time, his greatest mistake was letting this lunatic take his place, which, you know, he made sure that if anything ever happened to him, there would be no other Batman. So when Batman supposedly died in the altercation with Darkseid, in his will and testimony, which was a hologram, he told Dick, do not assume the mantle of the Bat. No one should be Batman. I don't want any of my sons to carry this weight. But, you know, based on everything that happened in the city, and it was being torn apart by everybody, the police, somebody had to assume the role of Batman, and the only person who could do it would be Dick, because Jason Todd tried to, and he became like an Azrael killer Batman, except far worse. You know, like Thomas Wayne, Flashpoint, gun-carrying, explosive-wielding Batman. You know, anybody who gets in his way, he's going to kill.
Yep.
But Jason Todd felt like it was his birthright.
Oh, right. Yeah, so what they do is didn't Batman give him some money so he
Batman,
could go try to figure out
he gave him a small fortune. He didn't just give him some money. He gave the guy like a small
$20
fortune
for a cab.
and basically financed his expedition to find out more about Saint Dumas and how he can get rid of his conditioning.
Oh, how he can get? Oh, I was gonna say he already kind of took care of the dad thing. Yeah. I mean, if he could get rid of his conditioning, that would be good, because I think he actually didn't want to kill people. It's just
he had no choice. He was hypnotized. Once that medallion in the Sword of Azrael was like, when it hypnotized him, like every time he saw a hallucination, you would see that medallion like in his eyes.
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, he was.
So he didn't really know what he was doing half the time.
No, I kind of, you know, looking back on everything that happened to Jean-Paul, I feel a little bad for him, but at the same time, you know, whatever. But that's enough of the agent of death and destruction. I want us to focus on Bane.
Yay!
Because Bane is a very interesting character, and you know, he doesn't really get a lot of love. The character actually had a very tragic past, you know, and he overcame that, but not in the ways that would be very good.
I don't know. I mean, at the end, like when he was
well,
I don't know. After, not.
It all depends on the writers.
Yeah.
There's only been a couple good writers.
There's been some good
Bane.
things that he's done and other bad things.
And Chuck Dixon gave him a really cool way out, but in the New 52 and some other things, how they've brought Bane back, he's basically like the Arkham Bane. He even looks like it. Although now I've seen him in the comics, he kind of looks like the. He kind of looks like this Bane. He has a military jacket and cargo pants and venom and some other things. And the mask is a little different. It's like, you know, they're definitely doing a tie-in to the whole news stuff.
Yes.
Which is, I mean, I kind of like the, you know, the mercenary look to him. That's basically what he looked like in the beginning. But, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I never know where that Hispanic wrestler, I forgot what the thing is called.
Luchador. Yeah.
Luchador mask ever came from. But yeah, I
he didn't have that. He had like the. It wasn't until it was Bruce Timm's.
A little bit.
It was Bruce Timm's idea to make Bane look like a luchador, because before he had like this full mask that was very scary and had the red eyes, like the red visor thing.
Yeah.
Because it's scarier not to see the person's face, and that's kind of why Jean Paul made his mask look like Bane's, is because you can't see the person's face. It's kind of scary.
Yeah,
you know?
it is scary. I guess that's why the luchadors can have those masks.
Well, you see their mouths though in a luchador mask.
Right.
So Bruce Timm was kind of like, we want to incorporate the Bane Knightfall thing, but how Batman would really handle it, and that's why the animated series Batman was able, even though Bane was much stronger than him, Batman was much smarter and was able to defeat him by using the crumpled up Batarang to defeat Bane.
Yeah.
Which we both were like, this is what would really happen if Batman was normal and not like totally exhausted and sick.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Batman, even when Batman fought Bane again, like during the Ra's al Ghul Legacy storyline, which is one of my favorites. Most people, they don't like it, but I really like the fact that Ra's al Ghul chose Bane to be his successor, like the heir to, you know, the demons, everything. Mm-hmm. But he and Batman fought again, and Bane was like, you know, you fighting me again. He says, it's just going to be your downfall. I beat you so easily. And Batman just beat the crap out of him. and then nearly blew him to Kingdom Come and most of the virus. And Ra's al Ghul was like, you know, as Bane is like adrift in the ocean, he was like, you know what, I was wrong to choose this guy because he is no match for the detective. It wasn't, you know, he's just thinking it must have been a fluke that this guy beat Batman. But
well, he wore him out. He's a smart guy. I mean,
oh, Bane is super intelligent.
He's very smart. He's very well read. He got the short end of the stick very early on in life.
Oh, I know. I feel bad for, you know, how he was. He had like, but he did make the best of his prison situation. He got an education based on all the teachers and senseis that came through prison over the years. He's a master of 4 languages: English, Spanish, Portuguese, and Latin.
Yep.
He can read and write in Latin. He's a very brilliant tacticianer, which is one of the reasons why Amanda Waller from Justice League and some other things wanted him to be a leader of the Suicide Squad, which I don't follow the Suicide Squad. I don't care. I don't really care about the Secret Six. None of that stuff. I like the Chuck Dixon Bane in the comics, because when they took him out of the comics, it was like, I don't know. He was a character that I just wanted to find some solace and some peace for everything he's been through.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, he also was tutored by a Jesuit priest who gave him a classical education and.
Hang on.
Okay,
no, you keep going. You keep going. I can't talk. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I will not be beaten by the likes of you. Take a break. I am not ready for the end, but are you ready for grappling hook? Down for the count. I should have totally lost. Wow. Wow. Oh wait, it's not over. I thought I was done. I'm not.
Oh no. But yeah, for some people who don't know kind of what a classical education is, that includes Latin and the classics. Like, I think you have to, you know, read about Troy and, you know, all of those classic Greek, you know, philosophy and everything like that. So not only does he know a lot of things, but he's well-rounded. You know what I mean? Like, this is the kind of stuff that people used to teach all over the place. And
give me that
they
shield.
Don't really give classical educations anymore in school. I wish I learned Latin myself, but
if people are wondering about something, why I'm not breaking the weapons, I never found that side mission yet, so I can't break anything.
But yeah, like he was sent to prison at a very, very young age. It was unfair. His dad,
he was like 8 years old or something.
His dad was a revolutionary mercenary, and his dad was a jerk.
Ow.
Like, I don't even have a word to say to describe how jerky his dad is. Like, I wish I could
King
say
Snake? Yeah, King Snake's a bad guy.
He escaped from Santa Prisca's court system, and then, because their court system was so corrupt, they decided that his 8-year-old son, or however young his son was, would end up serving out his life sentence.
Yeah,
so,
we don't even know how old his son was.
I
mean, he committed his first murder at 8 years old.
Yeah, so he could have been younger.
But he could have been, like, just out of, you know.
I didn't even realize that whole idea where Bane grew up pretty much in prison, how he was in, you know, The Dark Knight Rises and stuff like that. I didn't even realize that's pretty accurate.
Nolan actually did some things that were a little bit accurate to
I remember
Vengeance of Bane.
I remember thinking in the movie, like, why, the kid couldn't grow up in prison, that's ridiculous. And then I read the backstory and it's like, oh, that was his backstory.
That was his backstory.
So pretty much he did everything he could. I mean, he has plenty of time, so he works on his physical, you know, prowess, and he works out, and, you know, he learns several different fighting styles, he learns all sorts of languages, everything he can.
Sorry.
No problem.
I survived. I should have survived. I have like this tiny little bit of health left. Alright, so the Predator medals, they're telling us to use explosive and do some other stuff. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that a 8-year-old would be in prison. Like, that must be like a very corrupt government.
Yeah, and yeah, so we had this little... It is. He had this little bear named Osito that he would carry around all the time, and he actually hid a knife in it so he could defend himself. It's just so sad. I want to cry, and like I just want to rescue him.
It's pretty sad.
But during his time in prison, he was haunted by dreams of a bat, which I think
demon
has a big effect on why he ended up going after Batman later. And he pretty much became the king of the prison.
And to break down the morale, they actually sent him to do the venom testing.
Yeah.
Because that's where the drug was going. Because they figured if they could get rid of Bane, they could gain control of, the spirit of the men again and basically do whatever they wanted to.
Yeah.
But what they ended up doing is they assured Bane's, salvation pretty much, escaping the evil prison, and then eventually the downfall of that, down the line of that corrupt government.
Yeah, but it's interesting that every other test subject before Bane had died.
Yeah.
But Bane almost died, and then after that, he slowly became stronger. So once he escaped with the Fabulous Five, who are his minions.
Yep. Which he used in Knightfall.
He wanted to destroy Batman because he saw Batman as the king of Gotham, the streets or whatever. And so he wanted, to destroy him and also to get rid of those demons about the bat that was kind of haunting him.
But yeah, you guys pretty much know how Knightfall went about. But what you don't know about Bane afterwards is he had some pretty interesting stories. Like, aside from Legacy, which we talked about briefly, he actually had a story about him and Batman, like, where they were actually friends, like, working together side by side in Gotham. Which I know that's hard to believe, but it was the storyline from 2004, which was called the, I can't remember, but it was something in Latin. But the storyline involved Bane thinking that the American doctor that he learned about from the priest, or whatever the Spanish term is for them, he found out that there were like 4 people that could be his father. One of them was, King Snake. One of them was an American doctor, and the American doctor was Thomas Wayne, who, may have conceived Bane before he met, Martha, or whatever her name is, Bruce's mother.
Right.
And while the DNA testing was going on, Bruce and Bane were like fighting like brothers, and they were working side by side because Bane had a mission in life to destroy all the Lazarus pits after Ra's messed with him, and also at the same time to destroy all the venom drug so that nobody else would have to go through what he was. So he was becoming kind of like an anti-hero, which was pretty cool.
And he thought, as you were saying, he thought Batman might be his brother.
So he kind of dropped the whole rivalry. But unfortunately, by the end of the book, or near midway through, DNA test comes back, and even though, his mother knew Thomas Wayne, they were never together. So there was no way he could be his brother. But Batman buried the hatchet, even though this guy broke him. Bane and him, basically became friends. And not only that, but Batman gave him a small fortune to go and find his real father and helped him locate him. They left Gotham, and they found out, sadly, that his father was King Snake, who was a very pivotal villain in Tim Drake's career as Robin for his introduction. But I thought King Snake was killed by Shiva, but apparently he survived. And Bane actually leapt in front of the bullet that was meant for Batman when they were fighting and was mortally wounded. So Batman took Bane to one of the remaining Lazarus pits and saved his life. And then after that, he was like, you know what? Even though we had this in the past, we're going to have a clean slate and going to be done with it. And that's what happened. Him and Bane, basically, you tried to kill me, I saved your life, we're even.
I remember what it's called, Veritas Liberat.
Yeah, it's a Latin thing, exactly.
Truth free.
Yeah.
Truth and freedom.
So that's pretty much it, what happened to Bane. I mean, he came back years later when Dick Grayson was Batman because he wanted to be Batman because he felt like a type of connection, but it didn't happen. Instead, he said, God be with you, or God whatever, because he
God
knew
help him.
God help him, because it was going to be difficult. But anyway, that's the end of this episode. Thanks so much for watching the Azrael and Batman and a little bit of Bane's history. We hope you guys have enjoyed it, and we'll see you with another challenge map very soon. Thanks so much for watching.
See ya.
Oops, that's it for this episode, kiddies. Join us tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Be seeing you soon.